Alright, let's continue putting together our fender. Now I'm going to start making kind of a different technique as opposed to constantly appending polygons, which is what I've been doing up to this point. I'll go ahead and extrude a few. Just extrude out an edge. And notice how it kind of, if you move in local coordinates, it's going to kind of fly off into random directions. So your next step is obviously going to be to come in here and move around some vertices.
Right.
So be patient as you do that. Go ahead and snap. Now, I don't want to fall too far from my curvature, so notice how I'm pulling that way down in this case. And I'll do the same thing all the way down, like so. I also find, especially when you're moving in perspective, you can kind of treat your motions as if you were moving in two separate viewports. In that, notice I'm starting off by moving in one direction. I'm more or less just shortening the edges. Then I'll go around and start rotating around and making sure they're in the right actual position. Now up here, we're probably going to go ahead and lengthen. Let me just see how this will look. I might change my mind about this little maneuver. That'll probably work out okay. And then again, all we got to do is just start adjusting to the curvature. Like we have this one curve that we put in earlier, and we can start using that, pretending that's the surface of the car for just a moment, and just start tweaking the vertices to really kind of fill in that area. Because it's not modeling that takes your time. I guess you could say tweaking is modeling. Modeling is tweaking.
You could.
You could. All depends on how you look at it. Creating topology is only half of it. Actually, not even half of it. And we just pull around. Lots of little vertex moves. That's not too bad for starters right there. Okay, and if I come over here, our next piece over here is really far away. So I don't really know if I'll go all that far. This is looking pretty good in here. Let's do this. I'm going to grab this edge all by its lonesome. And let's extrude it kind of arbitrarily, say to about here. And then I'll extrude it again. And we'll pull it maybe to about there. Let's see. Yeah, I'm watching this curvature down here, seeing how far my straight edges will break away from that.
Right.
And then maybe one more time, and now I can just start taking vertices and we'll snap all the way over. So this will be all the way to the edge of the fender. This will snap right about to here, and then like so. So it's kind of like working in different directions. I'll go ahead, like, close this in and then start building forward, and it's all up to you. You don't necessarily have to follow this as a honest to goodness, here's how you must model technique. This is just something that I sometimes do. Let's kind of line up that topology a little bit better. And we'll curve snap that over like so. Not too bad. Also might want to kind of soften this area up a little bit. A little bit of history, not too much. Let's go ahead and hit Control tilde and switch to a smooth model. Ooh. Yeah, not bad at all for starters.
Nice.
So let's keep on putting together. Now, here's what I'm going to do here. We'll go ahead and grab these edges. And let's go ahead and extrude those out, like so. And then I'll just grab these vertices, and we'll snap them straight out to their corresponding part of the curve. This one I'll leave a little bit of a gap, and you'll see why if you haven't already caught on to what I'm going to do. This one we'll just pull right about to here. Now, Let's grab our split polygon tool. And let me grab my settings for it. We'll switch on magnets, and notice we have 1, 2 splits here.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll set our number of magnets to 2 for the first split. And split all the way down like so. Then we'll set our magnets down to 1 to make our second split, so they end up nicely positioned all the way down. And that leaves us with a lot of detail to have to pull, so remember, you got to be a little bit extra patient with yourself when you start tweaking this out. All right, let's go ahead and take that. Now I wonder, let's see, I know it's a new command, so they might not have put it in here. I was looking for the merge to center command, but it doesn't seem to be in here right now. That's okay. We can grab it from the Edit Polygons menu in the hotbox. And then we'll just hit G here, and then I'll snap these guys back up here where they belong. So that's starting to come together pretty nicely. Now we do have a lot of tweaking to do. I'd like to go ahead and switch over to normal mode on my move tool, just so that I have that nice normal direction I can pull in, which really helps when you're trying to round things out. Also, remember to keep taking a look at your model. You can almost see a line here.
Mm-hmm.
It's suggested, but it's there. Using those arrow keys to jump around to my polygon points. All right. Looking pretty swank. And not too bad. Let's take a quick look over at our smooth model. Looks very smooth.
Yes, it is.
I'm digging it so far, so let's keep on moving down the field, so to speak. Now, one thing we can do from here, notice I'm I'm looking at the topology of the surrounding areas. I'm going to match that up as close as I can, but I may not be able to match it up precisely. We'll see as we go. I'm going to grab these 3 edges, let's extrude them, and I'll just kind of arbitrarily tug them down here. Take this vertex, we need to take our move settings and move them back over to world. And let's get these guys merged. We do have a merge vertex in here somewhere, don't we? Ah, there we go. I knew it was around there somewhere. Ah, there's merge to center, so they just kind of hit it. I gotcha. I was wondering where they're putting all these new Maya 7 commands. They must be in there somewhere.
They like to hide them.
That's right. And let's see, we'll start off by snapping this guy over here, and then we'll just sort of average the remaining vertices out a little bit. All right. It looks like we only have like 1 or 2 more that we can put in there. What I will do is this. Let me grab my split polygon tool, and I'll go ahead and make a split that runs pretty much down the center of this, so he can end up connecting over here to this point.
I got you.
And we'll grab these 3 edges. Let's extrude them. Just pull them really anywhere is fine, because I have to tweak them out anyways. And let's just see how it looks to snap this over here. Snap over like so. Merge those 2 vertices, and then we'll just clean this up a bit. bit of tweaking. And it looks like we're going to have a little more detail here on the upper part than we will on the bottom. That's fine. I'm not going to sweat it. Let's see, though. Let's go ahead and grab the Append to Polygon tool. And let's see, we can point snap here into this area, and then like so we end up with a little polygon there. Press Y, and I'll point snap down here, and then we'll just curve snap somewhere in like so, which will need to be adjusted slightly. Just curve snap that to the polygon edge, and then finally we can just append straight across and fill the rest of that inward. So now it's just a matter of tweaking out the curvature to get this to look right. Also, we have a lot of history, so let's go ahead and clean that out. Go back over to our normal settings. And start pushing and pulling. Now, I don't often do it, and I'm not going to do it here. I'm just going to kind of mention this. If you're following along and you've been using Maya for a few minutes anyways, I have in the past, in areas like this where I've got to do a lot of smoothing over a large area, from time to time I'll grab the Sculpt Geometry tool. I'm not going to in this case because I just don't think I need it. You'll find that the Sculpt Geometry tool is very useful in some areas like this. In this particular case, I think it would take away some of the flexibility that I'm looking for. But I did want you to be aware of it. Remember, it's there. Now, it looks like we have sort of an interesting situation here where I may have done something foolish, but that's okay. I can fix it if I have. Let's shade this back up. Yeah, I've got sort of an interesting polygon situation going on here. Looks like I've got a face here that I don't want. We'll just delete both of these out. Looked like some sort of error. I couldn't quite make it out off the top of my head, but that's okay. Usually in those kind of cases, I find the quickest, easiest fix is to just break the thing and put something new in.
Break it and fix it.
That's right. Fix it with a hammer. That's what I always say. And let's just go ahead and append straight across, and that should solve that problem. So whatever just happened, that was a real easy way to get it all repaired and nice looking.
That was very strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. I could go back and review the tape and then laugh at myself for whatever it was I just did. But I'm not gonna. Alright, so let's take a look around here. I'm noticing my curvature might become a little bit too sharp as we come in here, like coming off the bumper. Let's kind of take a look over here. Because on our bumper, you'll notice there's sort of a slant inward. And I don't believe you're going to find that on the real Lamborghini, just from the images that I see anyways. So what I'm going to do is make a few tweaks to kind of pull that out, because I believe it stays a little more vertical. And I'll allow myself to be met halfway. What I mean by that is I'll pull out a little bit here at the top, and then I'll come in here to the bottom and push in a little bit to kind of get an average. And the reason I'm doing this is because it was affecting the area that I was building on up above. Okay, now if I switch up here, I'll just start snapping again. Let's go ahead and go to wireframe view so we can see this a little more clearly. It looks like I might have a dent there I could clean up a little bit. Excuse me. And, alright. Switching over to the smooth on that lower bumper. Actually, I think that looks a lot better. having it kind of go a little more straight up there, because you can
Yeah.
see over here we don't have an inward slant.
Right.
At least we don't appear to, anyways. And a lot of these types of things you will only notice as you begin to model. You'll start getting those surfaces in, and you'll go, you know, that just doesn't look right. Let's go back to normal mode. Now, if you really want to, there's a way you can kind of give yourself an idea of the angle that you're coming off of a given surface. Like if you're having a hard time visualizing it, this is just kind of a trick I use just from time to time. Thought you guys might like to play with it if you know, every now and then as well. We can come over here to create and grab the EP curve tool. And what I'm going to do, I'll just create a linear curve in this case. I'll just remind myself to set that back later. We can curve snap to any one of these polygonal edges, and then curve snap to another polygonal edge, create a NURBS curve, grab insert, and curve snap the pivot to the base of the curve. So press insert, and oh. Is there a manipulator around here somewhere? I mean, that'd be great if there was. Did I kill manipulators? Alright, well, let's see here. Yeah, something's up with that. Let's see. Let me go ahead and we'll do this just real quick. Let me display UI elements, and I'll bring up the toolbox real quick. So I do have the move tool activated. That's good. That's what I needed to see. If I grab the scale... there's something. Excellent. So if I hit insert, curve snap, boom. So there we go. That's all I wanted to do is move the pivot down here to the base of the curve, press insert again, and now I can scale the curve up. And now you have a live indication of the angle of that surface.
I see.
Which you can use to snap to. You can use to kind of move kind of like edges around to. So you can get an idea of how everything is moving along.
Right.
All right, so we can go ahead and delete that. Oh, you know what it was? My move tool was still in normal mode. Which means I can't move anything. That's okay. Right. That's all right.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm sure there's somebody on the other end of the video laughing at me a little bit, which is fine. I would. Like Terry just was.
Yes.
Okay, and let's kind of tweak to a little bit of curvature again, like you do. Now just hit the tilde key so I kind of get an idea of what this is looking like. Then I can hit tilde on this piece as well and see how they're lining up with one another. You can see that shading really kind of helping to show that crevice right now.
Right.
At the moment, that could be a blessing and it could be a curse. A little hard to say. What I think I'm going to do, though, is we have this extra edge that you'll notice is just meeting halfway here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my split polygon tool. And we're going to create that edge on this surface as well. Just so that in between the roundnesses of the two objects, there's not going to be any sort of discontinuity. And we'll snap that in like so. Now, if you end up having to do this, it's going to be a good idea to come in and really, really gently, I stress the word gently in this case, add just a little bit of rounding so that you don't end up with a perfectly straight edge there.
Right.
Because if you have two edges that are perfectly in parallel to, or, well, perfectly in a straight line, then you got to ask yourself, do you really need to have those edges there? So just round things out just a little bit. Make sure that all of the detail you've added is being useful. Looks like I could use another split right here to complete that. And I think I already moved those, so we'll tug all of these out just a little bit in X. Maybe I'll compensate by tugging these a little bit as well. And there we go. So now I have something over here that I can snap to, and that should keep things nice and contiguous from one part of the model to the next. And we can probably pull this back a little bit. Looking pretty nice overall. Let's go ahead and keep on building straight across, though, because we still have all of this area to fill in.
Right.
We haven't really touched yet. Now, on our curvature here, while we haven't really smoothed this out, this is a relatively flat surface.
Right.
And this, as we can see in the picture of the car, is also relatively flat once we get up there. So we don't need a whole lot of detail. So what I'm going to do is grab all of these edges, and let's just see if we can match them up with the detail we have here at the headlight, which will be one edge straight across, then another edge at the far end. So we'll extrude these edges, pull out about like so, and then it's, of course, it's tweak time. It's my favorite game. Jump over here to a top view, and what I'm going to do is just kind of line these up with kind of the way I think the crest of that would follow along the top of the car. Yeah, I might end up putting another split in through here. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how the curvature kind of lines up. Okay. Although it's not much of a drastic change in angle, so I might not need to. Yeah, overall, that's not looking bad at all. I am ignoring the corners for now, guys, in case you're wondering. Alright, let's grab these edges again. And let's extrude again. And grab vertices and go back to tweaking. Looks like there's a little bit of a height problem here where the tip, the end of my headlight is kind of sticking up beyond the hood. So it'd probably be a good idea to fix that before I go too much further. Pull that down. Grab vertices here. And let's frame up on it so I can see it a little more clearly. We'll just curve snap that. Now notice I'm using that little gray indicator. If you've never seen that before, because a lot of people don't even look at it, whenever you move an object in Maya, there's a little gray indicator to show you where it originated.
Right.
So we're just going to use that to place this along the edge very close to where it was to begin with. And all of that's looking good, so I'm pleased there. Let's now grab this vertex. And
yeah, it looks like it was just that corner.
Yeah, I think so. And we have a lot more detail here on the fender than we do on the hood itself. So let's just kind of count up what we have. We have sort of one edge here, 2 and 3, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a sixth. So let's see. I'll go ahead and point snap this over here, and then I'll just start kind of curve snapping arbitrarily along the side. This will probably produce a little bit of gappage if we're not careful.
Right.
But I don't think it's really going to be anything to worry about. I don't think it's anything we can't work with because these two areas are relatively straight. There is some subtle curvature there, but nothing that I think is going to be really detrimental. Curve snap this along the hood. It does have a little bit of a downward curve, which is that's good. That's what we want. And let's see. Let's shade up. Let's delete out our history because I'm sure we've got a lot right now. And tilt over. Not bad. Let's go to show, and temporarily we'll switch off NURBS curves so we just can't see him anymore. Now, all I'm paying attention to right now, I'm certainly not paying attention to the edges, just kind of the curvature along this surface. Like, it almost looks like there might be a little bit too much denting here at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just doesn't seem to flow exactly the way I might want it to. And also true here in this general area. So if we switch back, we've got a lot of detail we can play with in here. Not so much to play with in here, so it might not be a bad idea to produce another edge just so we can adjust rounding. Now, my first order of business would be to kind of come in here and tweak out the rounding here in this area. So I'll switch back to normal mode. And just real gently start rounding this out. It's also going to be a good idea to constantly be switching back and forth between your smooth and your proxy. Alright, before I go too much further, let's go ahead and create those edges all the way around this shape, because those are really going to change how this looks. So I'm going to add some thickness all around the edges. To do that, I got a lot of edges to select all the way around. And yeah, you can probably grab the contiguous edges option. I'm not going to, just to make sure I get exactly what I'm looking for at the moment. Okay, I think that's everybody. And let's extrude these edges inward just a bit, like so. Add a little bit of thickness, which of course will change the way the smooth object looks quite a bit. And it'd also probably be a good idea to go ahead and get some creasing out of the way. Now notice anywhere we have a point in the geometry, like here, I'm also going to be grabbing that corner edge as well. Don't need to do that all throughout, just anywhere there's a point. Maybe there. And right here. Grab that corner, and we'll go all the way around the inside of the wheel well. Okay, shift right mouse, grab the poly crease tool. I'll tilt over to the smooth mesh, and then middle mouse drag to the right. It starts to add some nice detail. Again, though, we've got these darkened areas. You can't let that get to you at the moment. We want to tweak that out. We can't do it right now, or we'll end up destroying that nice connection we have between the high and low models.
Right.
If we just want to see what it looks like with that effect dampened, of course, all you really need to do is hit page up a couple of times, and that'll start to make it go away. So a little bit of pinching taking place here, it looks like. Interesting. Oh, there we go. I was switching back and forth. So there we are here. That's not bad, really. Looks like we do have a little bit of denting taking place here at the top of the fender. Like somebody walked by and punched the fender on our car.
Of a Lamborghini.
And yeah, and you can see it actually, which is really cool. One of the things I would recommend is from time to time, as long as your computer can handle it without, of course, exploding or throwing up, crank the detail up to something that you'll never use, because it allows you to really see these dents. Something else you can also do that we'll be doing just from time to time, we don't really need to do with the whole model, but it is very helpful when you need it, is to assign a blend material, because you can really see the dent with that specularity in place. So now you can see the problem. So we switch over to here. We can grab the vertex in question, which is painfully obvious at that point, and start to move him out until that dent goes away. So you can just rotate it until the specularity makes it really apparent, and then adjust until it goes away. So already that looks a lot better.
Yeah.
Any sort of denting or nastiness you see at the corners, remember that's a side effect of the normals, nothing we can really worry about too much at the moment. So don't get too bent out of shape right now over that. There's still, I mean, I could be insane, but it looks like there's a little bit of a crease here.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure if I want to keep it. Probably not, even though if you look over here, there's almost one suggested. I'll leave it for now and I'll think about it, because we've still got a lot of tweaking and adjustment ahead of us. So I'll just kind of let it sit for now. I'll think about it and decide what I want to do about it a little bit later. All right, so that is going to pretty much, maybe a few tweaks and bumps and lumps aside, wrap it up for the fender. I think the only one other thing I did want to do is grab, let's take a look here. It looks like I have some edges that I could tweak, because these guys need to kind of match up better than they do. Attribute editor can go away. Let's go back to world space for a moment, and I'll go into wireframe mode. This can be lined up with that edge. This we'll go ahead and pull back a little bit. Same up here. Pull this up just a tad to get a little bit of gappage. I'll snap this back here to the back corner. And we'll probably need to go in and tweak the inside of the wheel well, though I'm not too concerned about that taking place at the moment. Looks like I missed a few guys when I was creasing. Kind of hidden here on the underside of the wheel well. Not marquee selecting far enough, which is okay. I can fix it at this point. So let's go ahead and switch back to the poly crease tool. We'll hit 5, hit tilde, and just crease those out. It's a subtle change, but it'll help later on. And let's also grab all of these edges, because you know you've got that flat spot around the wheel well, and there really is a crease on the surface.
Very pronounced.
Yeah, so we'll create that as well. Now, as a tip to all of you fans out there, you can use the poly crease tool for this, or you could just bevel this edge and create two edges running parallel to one another all the way around, and that would effectively do pretty much the same thing, which I might still be doing, depending on how this ends up looking. It doesn't look half bad. A little hard to say, though. I think right now my detail's kind of low, so if I pick it up another level, let's say page up, and then tilde over, you can kind of see.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. So if you want, that's I guess that's kind of a good way to look at it. If you want to create a crease, but you want to keep your amount of detail relatively low, let me go ahead and just try this real quick as more or less an experiment. Let's shift right mouse, and let's see, there's bevel edge. So we can go ahead and bevel that, and maybe pull back that offset just a little bit. 0.2, maybe set it down to 0.1. And then if we come and look at the smooth, there we have it, and our level of detail is still all the way down. Now, we do have some cleanup that we'd want to do down here at the bottom, because now you'll notice our creases have adjusted a little bit. So just like when we were working on the pistol earlier, bevels are in a lot of cases going to result in some form of tweak needing to be done, but it is another way to examine the problem. And if you notice that your bevel looks a little too sharp, like maybe too pronounced, which maybe it does in this case, it's hard to say. I guess it would almost boil down to your personal tastes on this level. You could grab your offset. Let's slow down our virtual slider a little bit, and you could increase that offset. You'll notice how that's sharpening and smoothing out that crease. So we'll say right about there, looks pretty good. We'll go back over to the proxy model, and let me do this. Let's go to Show, Isolate, Select. We'll only view selected for the time being. And what I'll do here is we'll grab this vertex, and well, there's a couple of ways I could do this. I'm going to split these two, merge these two together, excuse me. Merge to center is fine because it's faster. And let's go back to object mode. I'll grab the split polygon tool. I'll split straight across, if it'll let me. Looks like it didn't really want to let me do that. It's okay. Interesting. Let me go over to my tool settings real quick. Switch off snap to magnets. There we go. That'll be close enough, and then I can just snap everything else together to make what I want to have actually happen, as my camera goes a little bit wonky there. So we'll take this vertex, and I'll snap it over to the corner. Effectively, what I'm doing is getting rid of this triangular edge, and just making this a quad that goes all the way across, in case you're wondering. So let's go ahead and merge these two vertices. We can move this guy kind of arbitrarily. Grab this edge, delete it. Grab this edge, and we'll recrease it. So that should take care of that. Be a good idea at this point to switch over to our smooth mesh, which has disappeared, so remember to delete your history. And, ooh, still gone. Oh, why is it gone, everybody? It's because we still have isolate perspective on. So isolate select, switch off view selected, and there we go. So now we have our little bit of a crease there, and it's all cleaned up there at the bottom, which is good. Now we just need to clean up over here at the bottom on this side. So we'll do the same thing. Let's go in object mode, grab our split polygon tool, and let's see if I can just knock out a couple of quick splits like so. I'll do this a little bit faster this time. And then we'll grab edges here, here, and here. And let's go to... Actually, I should have this in my right mouse. Let's just delete these edges. Boom, gone. Select this edge. Poly crease tool again. Boom. And there we go. So I think that is going to pretty much wrap it up for this Fender. Again, maybe a couple of tweaks aside, but we have some tweaking coming up later on. So that'll also wrap it up for this video. Be sure to save your work, and thanks a lot.